a partially valid, a half-truth, if you will, is being pushed.
I can't wait to find out all sorts of new and exciting things I didn't know about myself.
So you just hate Jews, bro?
Yeah, you're just an anti-Semite. Congratulations.
You're
Good
not
choice.
What would you say?
Exactly.
Well, that's different. It's not different. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's
that just we are the only society on Earth who has the obligation to self-destruct, to blame ourselves for every problem that has ever existed, and we just think of ourselves as the worst human beings who are responsible for every bad.
How many Muslims are trying to stop Boko Haram? How many Muslims were confronting ISIS? How many Muslims, the extremists always win. So the peaceful majority, which I know many, they're irrelevant.
Good morning, misfits. Okay, the irony of this being MAHA Monday, because I am dying. I am really sick, like really sick. I was like, yeah, I can tough it out. I'm not going to my other job. My other job is construction, and I text both my customers. I was going to try to, I actually had 3 jobs to go to today, but I was like, nope. I woke up. Have you guys ever woken up and you're literally convulsing? Like, not shivering. Shivering is different. I'm talking about where your arms are like moving really like you look bad. That happened around 3 a.m. And I was like, oh, son of a bitch. I was like, oh, fuck. It was really bad. But I'm here. We're gonna do MAHA Monday while not ha. All right. Well, you know, this might be a little off, right? For like, is this really about MAHA? But I actually think it is. Okay. If you guys have been living under a rock, wait, no, wrong one. Sorry. Hold on. It's gonna be bad today. My brain's gonna move a little slow today, just a little bit. Yeah. So let's go here. Okay. Some people might not think that this is necessarily related to, see how slow I am, Make America Healthy Again, but I disagree, okay? Let's find it right here. Boom. You know, Eli does amazing work with the thumbnails. I told him, hey, let's put this thumbnail together. If you're listening on audio, it's me as a doctor, and Tucker is in my office telling me the CIA spied on him, right? Like, it's like, because conspiracy culture, which I have been warning about, talking about for a very, very long time, is very dangerous, right? Look, I'm not, and this is where you get the, it's free speech. And I'm like, sure. Yeah. No. It's mostly, like, yeah, mostly. But look, just because it's free speech doesn't mean it's not harmful or damaging, okay? Like, this isn't some binary black and white world we live in where you can just, like, pick one or the other, right? There's a lot of nuance, right? And so conspiracy culture online, I think, is very similar to woke culture. Okay, we talk about the woke ideology all the time, and how destructive and damaging it is to have a bunch of indoctrinated morons running around believing things that are not true. Does anybody see a similarity there? It seems like that sounds a lot like, to me, conspiracy culture. It's basically the same thing. It's like your conspiracy theorists, right? They don't provide any solutions to any of the things that they're saying. They just point out problems, and they get people riled up, and they go like, there's this, look at this, they're coming for you, they're taking over, they're doing this, they're doing that. What does that do? That creates a paranoid society. And when people are paranoid, when you back people into a corner, they go fight or flight. And you're pushing people into an option where one of the options, they might commit violence. Okay? So, yes, conspiracy culture is very related to make America healthy again. And I think that we should take that initiative. I mean, I'm going to go through a couple of articles here. They're long. I'm not going to read the whole thing on both of them, but where is it? Sorry, here we go. This is Insurrection Barbie. I really recommend you go read all this, but if you look on the screen here, that's like the Iliad. It's long, really long. We're just going to read the first paragraph, okay? Jesus, it's taken forever to get back up there. She went ham on this one. Okay. How a network of political Catholic integralists, Russian ideologues, and media provocateurs are systematically dismantling the evangelical foundation of the American right. This is tied to conspiracy culture, trust me. Okay. The conventional framework for understanding the convulsions tearing through the American conservatism treats them as a foreign policy argument. Israel or no Israel, aid or no aid, America first versus globalism. This framing is wrong and in the most important way possible. What's happening is not a debate, it's a demolition. Thank you. This is why I say that Dave Smith does not debate anyone. The debate me bros do not debate anyone. Those are not debates. Those are setups. Those are shows. Those are carefully curated psyops that are designed to get clicks and get clips so that they can frame a narrative. Those are not debates. Those are not high intellect debaters. Those are people that have memorized a talking point, and they need to get somebody else in a moment where they can validate their talking point and then put it on their page and go, see, I'm right. I'm right because I found somebody that didn't know the answer to the question that I asked, even though the question doesn't have an answer because it's made up. For 70 years, the answer for the men and women at the center of the operation are not primarily interested in the 2026 midterms, the 2028 presidential election. They're interested in a question that will take a decade or more to fully answer. Who controls the ideological and theological DNA of the Republican Party's base? For 70 years, the answer has been evangelical Protestant Christians, roughly 30% of the American electorate, 80% of whom vote Republican. Motivated by deep biblical conviction, organized through tens of thousands of local churches and bound together by a theological commitment to the Bible, have been in the driver's seat of the conservative movement. Remove it or transform it, and you have a different party. Not a party with different policies, a party with different gods. That's the actual objective. I'm going to map out what I think is the most important sophisticated attack, blah, blah, blah. So, guys, go and read this whole thing. It's going to take you a minute, but it's worth the read because she's right, okay? She's essentially pointing out that there is not just a ideological takeover. There's a theological takeover, right? And what's happening, and I know that we have a lot of Christians on this channel, right? And I know that, you guys don't like that I, use naughty language. That's why we have the naughty button. But this affects us the most, right? Because these people are calling themselves Christians, right? Woke right is woke ideology, and woke gods are different than our God. Okay, they are not real Christians. I know I'm not supposed to be able to say that. No, you can. You can. That whole judge not lest you be judged, I don't know what you guys think it means. I think it means don't be a hypocrite. I don't think it means you can't judge people. I can. And I am judging these people as not Christians. So, if they're not Christians, what are they? Well, they're supersessionist. They're ideologically illiterate, just sort of made up. Look, I feel the same way about Islam, right? Islam calls itself a religion. I don't think that it is. I think it's a political ideology. I don't think that the Christ is King people are no different. Everyone goes after Ted Cruz for saying that. He's right. It does not mean, like I said earlier with the binary choice, right? It does not mean that if you say Christ is king, you hate Jews. What he's saying is the people online who are constantly saying Christ is king, the majority of them hate Jews. This isn't hard to figure out. They keep putting it on their pages. Find somebody with Christ is king in their bio, then go to the search bar, type in the word Jews, and let me know if you can prove me wrong. 100% of them do it. So, what do we do about this? I said this the other day. The only way to combat this, right, which is a form of stochastic terrorism, it's a form of indoctrination, it's a form of incitement. You gotta start being more picky. You got to gatekeep. You got to create and define the tribe. And then you got to kick out every son of a bitch in it who doesn't believe what you believe. Because yes, it's going to take that level of selective tolerance moving forward. We don't have time for this. I'm not saying that you can't align with somebody who's a moderate, somebody who's on the other side. I'm saying you can't align with these people. These people are just like Islam. They are incompatible. The woke right is incompatible with the West because Islam is incompatible with the West. Notice how they all don't see a problem with Islam? None of them. None of them. And if they do see a problem or acknowledge the problem, they do it very dismissively. Like, sure, yeah, Islam bad, but those Jews. Whataboutism isn't an argument. It's a leftist tactic in deflection. Correct. Somebody in the comments, tolerance is the reason we're in this mess. Exactly. Start being intolerant. Legally and respectfully intolerant. All right. This article, I would say, is a little bit more important. Also long, not as long, but this one is from Matt Van Swal. Okay. The right has a podcast problem, and it might cost us an election. And I think that's intentional. One, nobody asked for this. We witnessed one of the greatest political comebacks of all time. We won the presidency, won the Senate, won the White House, won the demographics nobody thought were possible, won in places that we thought were unwinnable at all, that were unwinnable. And then somehow the most influential voices on our side decided that the most important thing to do with that historic mandate was to tear each other apart. Right now, as you read this, the Democrats are doing exactly what they always do after they lose. They're not bitching and moaning at each other. They're pointing fingers on podcasts, and they definitely are not busy demoralizing their base. They are organizing. You see paid protesters. You think they aren't good at organizing? Think again. On the other hand, our podcast crowd is in a full-blown public meltdown that would make the Real Housewives producers look like total bitches. 0 people in the conservative base asked for this. Not one person, not one single person has ever talked in real life sitting there thinking, what we really need to do now is watch my favorite podcaster go to war with each other. They're thinking about their mortgage, their kids, their country. They want to win. They want results. They want the people with the biggest platforms and the loudest voices to wake up every single morning with their guns drawn and all the guns to be pointed at the exact same target. But instead, we get this bullshit. And every single person on the right is exhausted by it. This is obvious if you spent 5 minutes outside a podcast studio talking to actual conservatives. You know this to be true. Read the rest of this. But again, these 2 articles will help you understand exactly what's going on. Okay? We have a takeover. Okay? That's what it is. It's a takeover. Right? They are trying to take over because they know that this is Trump's second term. They know he's not going to be president in 2028. So these are ideologically driven people that that see an opportunity to change the Republican Party to their radical version of it. All right. Like these are ultra nationalists or, look, there's no one answer, by the way, because a lot of people are like, they're paid shills, they're paid by Qatar, they're this, they're that. Look, it's a lot of that. It's basically all of that, right? Percentages, I don't know the frickin' recipe, but it's essentially a bunch of different things all happening at once. Okay, you have the ideologically driven people. I would guess that Dave Smith is one of those people. Okay, like Dave Smith, I don't think is a paid shill. I think he's a moron, an ideologically driven moron, one of the dumbest human beings on the planet, who has willful ignorance, denial, and confirmation bias driving the entirety of his content. I believe that. I could be wrong, but I believe that. I think Nick Fuentes is lying. He knows that everything he's saying is not true. He's a sensationalist. He's Howard Stern. He doesn't believe anything. He believes in chaos. I believe that he is ideologically driven by accelerationism, but I don't think that he thinks anything he's saying is true. I think Dave Smith thinks that what he's saying is true. Tucker Carlson, we just recently found out that it's a possibility that he's actually a foreign agent, right? And I know that people are like, no. Wait, listen to when I talk. I'm not like these people. I don't speak in absolutes when I don't know things. I said it's a possibility because it is. Okay, you might think it's not, but it is. It is a possibility that Tucker Carlson is a foreign agent. It is a possibility that Tucker Carlson is providing material support to a designated foreign terrorist organization and enemy to the United States to undermine this country. It is possible that Tucker Carlson is a traitor. Possible. It's also possible he's lying. Yeah, you look at the screen right now. There are two possibilities. Similar to many other segments of his content, this could be pure fabrication that he's created to incite outrage that generates clicks, which ultimately translates into revenue. That could be. Either way, Tucker Carlson does not believe what he's saying, but he is driven through sensationalism, similar to Nick Fuentes, but he's not an accelerationist per se. He's an Islamist. He is. I mean, if you really pay attention to his content, he's an Islamist. He's talked about how his version of Christianity aligns up very similar with Islam. He talks about how, 14-year-old girls are sexually mature. Would you look at that? Nick Fuentes has a little bit of this too. The supersessionists and replacement theology, quote, Christians, they are basically Islamists. It's very similar. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Okay? So, let's listen to Tucker Carlson's shocking admission. If you didn't see this, Tucker Carlson allegedly thinks that the CIA is spying on him because he was just talking to someone in Iran.
Out that the CIA is preparing some kind of criminal referral against me, a crime report to the Department of Justice on the basis of a supposed crime I committed. What's that crime? Well, talking to people in Iran before the war. They read my texts.
Wait for that. I want you to pay attention here to what he's saying, because in order to know that it's misleading or dishonest, you have to really pick it apart, right? Like, he was talking to, quote, people in Iran. People in Iran. Okay. Remember that. People. It's important.
So the crime under consideration apparently would be the Foreign Agent Act or something like that.
Okay. There you go. All right. People in Iran and the crime, and he knows what FARA is. He's playing dumb. There are so many clips of him talking about FARA. He knows what FARA is. He says the Foreign Agent Act or something. It's the Foreign Agent Registration Act. Everybody knows what it is. Anybody that covered Hunter Biden knows what it is. This isn't something that's some obscure legal terminology that nobody's ever heard of. The Foreign Agent Registration Act has been plastered all over Tucker's page, all over Piers Morgan's page, all over everybody's page in reference to other people. Like, for instance, the people that Tucker Carlson thinks should be registered as foreign agents, anyone that supports Israel. Okay? So he's lying. He's being dishonest. But here's the thing about the Foreign Agent Act or something. Doesn't cover people. Doesn't cover people at all. It covers governments. If you were talking to a citizen of Iran, the Foreign Agent Registration Act would not apply to you. It is working on the behalf of a foreign government. Following along. So Tucker was talking to people in the government. Here's the other tricky part of this admission. The entire government of Iran is a foreign terrorist organization, designated by the United States. The entire IRGC is a terrorist organization. Understand? So Tucker is admitting in this video, these are just facts, okay? Tucker is saying, he tried to be, slimy with it, but what he really said was, I was talking to the Iranian government, who's a designated foreign terrorist organization. Okay, good. All right, great. Now we got that out of the way. Can you go to jail for simply talking? No. No, you can call and be like, I'd like a quote. What's up? What are your thoughts? When is this war going to end? You can do that. Talking is not illegal. Working on behalf of a foreign terrorist organization, that is illegal. And if you have watched Tucker Carlson's content over the past year, 2 years, maybe 2.5, he seems pretty invested in what's best for Iran. The government of Iran specifically, not the people. So, we gotta be clear on how we report things, all right? And I see my own side doing it all the time, and it's fine if you're joking, but some of you aren't. Some of you aren't joking, and we lose our credibility when we start speaking in absolutes. Like, oh my God, Tucker is, look, and I go, look, you can say, if this is true, Tucker's guilty of treason. If this is true, Tucker's a traitor. If this is true, if this is true, if this is true. I am very careful on that. Sometimes I may joke and may say something different, but if you really read my content, I'm not making accusations. I'm saying these are the facts that we have. If these facts are true, then this would be what would happen. All right. And try doing a better job of that, because when you don't, you give them a win. You give the people that are on the opposition a win, because they just come out and they just say stupid shit like this. Let me see. Buckley. See, like, Fred Aaron is pop culture. And look, I like Fred. This isn't an attack on Fred. I'm just trying to give you guys a strategical advantage here in how you frame things, okay? Tucker Carlson showed that he's a Nazi in conservative clothing. I don't even think that's too harsh. Kind of is. When he ranted about Churchill was worse than Hitler, his opposition to the war in Iran. I don't actually think that really this is that bad. I probably used a bad example, but I really wanted to get this in here. So what they're going to do, if you do something, like Fred's fine. This wasn't that bad. But if you say something like Tucker Carlson's a traitor, he should be hanged, right? Like, if you were to say that, Tucker Carlson is a traitor, he should be hanged. If you say that, this would be the response, and it would be a valid response. Advocating for my brother's death while calling him a Nazi? Fred has not advocated for your brother's death anywhere in this tweet. And I don't even know if that's Fred. I'm just saying Fred because the username. Nobody advocated for Tucker's death, but do you see how the woke right does the exact same thing that the woke left does? Where it's like, if you criticize them at all, it'll be like, you're trying to get me killed. No, we weren't. You're trying to get us killed, but we're not doing the same thing to you, right? So advocating for my brother's death while calling him a Nazi. he said that Tucker Carlson showed that he's a Nazi in conservative clothing when he ranted about how Churchill was worse than Hitler. It's a good point. It's a good point. And he also literally recently, I think, just said this.
Bloodline itself.
Hold on.
For a head of state to say out loud, our job here is to kill everybody, including their children, because the bloodline itself must be extinguished. You know, I'm very opposed to Hitler, okay? Just saying. I don't think Hitler ever said anything like that. I'm serious. I mean, he killed a ton of people.
This is what the Fred account is referring to. It's like when you ideologically align with... No, he's saying like, I'm saying Hitler's bad, but. I'm saying Hitler's bad, but. He never really said that we should like kill all the Jews. Yes, he did. He like 1000% did. Hitler repeatedly and explicitly called for the annihilation or obliteration of the Jews, especially the Jewish race in Europe. But not in the form of one neat soundbite like we need to exterminate every Jew. That's how Tucker is trying to find an out. What he actually said was, in as early as 1919, the so-called Gimlich letter, Hitler wrote that the ultimate goal must definitely be the removal of the Jews altogether. Okay? Now you'll hear Tucker and these apologists, Nazi apologists, be like, they just meant like, you know, move them somewhere else. Well, like Israel, maybe? No, not there. No. Well, where should they go? Because you keep saying that now they should go back to Europe, and Hitler wanted to kick them out of Europe, and then he killed a bunch of them. So I'm pretty sure that his actions proved that he did not mean get them a bunch of U-Hauls. I think he meant kill them when he said removal. I think he meant removal of off the earth. Okay. Also, in a Reichstag speech on January 30th, 1939, he warned that if international Jewish financiers, sound familiar? Does this sound like anyone that you've seen online? Caused another war. They're the problem. See, this is the problem. They're the problem. It's those rich Jews. The result would be the obliteration of the Jewish race in Europe. So, Tucker is too smart to be this ignorant, right? Tucker claims he's smart. That's according to Tucker. I don't think he's smart. According to him, he's smart. And if he's smart, he's really fucking stupid. Sorry, guys. You know, they slip. So does everybody understand that there's a high likelihood that Tucker is being dishonest? Very high, right? The final solution, annihilation of Jews. Yes, Hitler said this quite often. And Netanyahu is not worse than Hitler, because Netanyahu has never said we should kill every man, woman, and child of the Arab race, Palestinian race. See, that's the thing. You have to understand that Jew is an ethno-religion. So when they're talking about Jew, when Hitler's talking about Jew, he's talking about Jews, all of them, right? So this is what I said about Nick Fuentes. I'm drinking a hot coffee. By the way, this is my favorite mug. It's a mug with a mug shot, and this is from Stacy Roberts Art. So here's a shout out to her. IG at Stacy Roberts Art. If you want her to make you something, you should reach out to her. This was not planned. I usually have iced coffee. I'm so sick that I'm drinking tea, hot tea. Oh, this sucks, but all right. But I'm doing good. All right, let's go. Let's get back to it. I look like I'm high. I forgot where I was, but yeah, no. Oh yes, I'm sorry. So, Jews, ethno-religion, Nick Fuentes, all these other people. What the question you need to ask them is, what is a Jew? Because they say that it's people who support Israel or the Jewish religious people or the secular Jews that secretly control the world, the Jewish financiers that start all the problems. Like, so it's all of them. It's all of them. You're bitching about all of them. You're not bitching about secular Jews. You're not bitching about religious Jews. You're not bitching about Zionists. You're bitching about all Jews. And because it's an ethno-religion, you're taking it a step further than genocide. You're taking it a step further because you're not creating any distinction. You want the ethnicity wiped off the map and the religion wiped off the map. That's a problem. So yes, for anybody that wants to, shoot this one over to Tucker, yeah, Hitler was worse. A lot. If Netanyahu, I don't know what quote he's referring to, said something about we need to exterminate every member of Hamas. That's not a race. That's a terrorist organization. I do not think that Netanyahu has ever said, I could be wrong. If he said this, that's bad. But I don't think he has because I would have seen it. I think I would have seen it. I don't think that Netanyahu has said, we need to kill every Arab, every Muslim. I don't think he said that because that's the race and religion you're looking for, Tucker. Hitler has very clearly and distinctly said in the past, every Jew, which is an ethno-religion, that means every Jewish person of the racial background and the religious background. So you would have to go the Arab race and the Muslim religion, Islam. Netanyahu hasn't said that. He's probably said something along the lines of, we need to kill every single member of Hamas. Yeah, I agree with him. You do. I wouldn't even be opposed to Trump coming out and saying, we need to kill every single member of the IRGC. Every one of them, all 200,000. I don't care. I'd be like, good. Yes. Yes, that's what you do. That's what you do. You have a crusade. You do. That's how you stop the problem. Because they're here. We have sat back and let them infiltrate, expand, and sorry guys, but we're almost at the point where this is an unfixable problem. Do I think you needed a crusades right now? No, but soon. I think we could beat them back if we all got on the same page, but we're too busy dicking around with the woke right. Locking arms with the woke left and trying to bring socialism back to America in order to punish the GOP makes absolutely zero sense. So, what else has Tucker's, what else has, not even Tucker's, what else has the woke right ideology done to hurt the party? I personally think that J.D. Vance is good. I think that he's a good guy. If Charlie Kirk trusted him, I trust him. I think that he's been hit hard with good reason, right? For his connections, right? I'm not saying that if you have used guilt by association against J.D. Vance, it's not a valid concern. It is. I just personally don't think he's actually done anything that really him. I don't think that he has done anything really that bad. But what he has done that's not necessarily bad, but definitely not smart, is not call out Tucker Carlson. Like, it's so easy. Look at what Trump is doing right now with Mark Kelly. Or sorry, Mark Kelly. Mark Levin and Megyn Kelly. Mark Kelly. No. The Mark Levin and Megyn Kelly thing. Okay? You have Trump coming out and going, this is where I'm at. We'll get to that in a minute. But J.D. Vance didn't do that. When J.D. Vance was like, oh, hey, man, what do you think about Tucker? He's like, I love Tucker. It's stupid. That's a stupid thing to do in politics. Because they will judge you by association. The people will judge you. I won't. They will. That was a very stupid mistake on J.D. Vance's part. So let's read this tweet. I know we're not doing the news today. Obviously this is a long story. We're 36 minutes in. We're not even close to done yet. Because this is so important, right? This is the epidemic. The woke mind virus, which conspiracy culture is a huge part of on both sides, is an epidemic. We need to fight for the hearts, health, and mind of our future generations. Like, this mind virus is destroying a generation of people. Have you ever seen the movie Idiocracy? Do you want that future? I understand that it's a comedy, but it's kind of like a possibility as well. Do you really want us to be watering our lawns with Brawndo? Because it's what plants crave? I think that you should think about that. River Rat. What's up with River Rat? You're so lost. Sundancer, you've been hired. I see somebody there's some people in the chat going, bye River Rat, and I don't know if River Rat is like a good person or bad. Anyway, I'm getting ADD. I can barely keep my eyes open. I said I was gonna take a sleeping pill halfway through the show, but I freaking left it in the other. I'm gonna sleep after this. If anybody needs me for the rest of the day, good luck. Right? Like, that's not happening. I am out. I am 100% out. I am so sick right now. All right, let's get back to this. It's got what plants crave. There you go. River Rat is okay. Okay, good. All right, so River Rat wasn't, all right, we're causing trouble. All right. I hate to say it, but Tucker may very well have ruined JD Vance's chance of becoming Trump's successor. No, I'm not implying JD did anything wrong, etc. Optics matter. Always like JD, just like what I just said. That being said, JD had an opportunity to address this many times. He chose to ignore it. I personally reject the guilt by association to accuse anyone of wrongdoing. Many don't. Gatekeeping is good. Ask the Trojans. And here, my final point here. People are going to find out real soon that those of us who have been calling out our side were never trying to divide MAGA. We were trying to save it by defining it. I think there was... No, I think that was everything. Oh, yeah, no, this one's fun. So this one's... I went viral for this. What do we got? 2.7 million views. This is so great. I just want to really quick go back to... Where is it? Here we go. Let's finish this video. Okay, let's finish this video, and then I'm going to give you the summary of how I read it. Okay.
Acting as an agent of a foreign power. And I don't expect this to go anywhere.
Look, if it's true, it's going somewhere, dude. If you're literally just making this up, probably not going anywhere.
I'm not too worried about an actual criminal case against me for a bunch of reasons. One, I'm not an agent of a foreign power.
Yeah, but you might not know you are. Like, if you're working on behalf of the Iranian government, if you had a conversation with the IRGC, anyone in the IRGC, if you had a conversation, a correspondence that the CIA has, and they said, you know what you should say, and then follow it up. You know what you should tell your audience? You know what you should really let people know? Do you know what you should let people know in America? Do you know what you should let people know in America? That, like, we're not that bad. Okay, Tucker Carlson, boom, 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 right? Goes out and says that. And Tucker was like, I didn't take that. No, that's literally treason. Like, if any, like, you are too smart to not understand that when you are talking to a foreign terrorist organization, you should probably let the government know, especially if we are in what you consider a war with them. Like, imagine this in 1939. I didn't tell anyone that I was talking to Hitler, while I was saying Hitler wasn't that bad. But that's free speech, dude. It's like, no, it's not, dude. No, it's not.
Unlike a lot of people commenting on U.S. politics and global affairs, I have only one loyalty, and that's the United States, and have never acted against it. It's interesting.
You are, in my opinion, but you probably don't think you are.
So the only interest I care about, because I'm from here and I have a lot of kids. So that's not a concern. I've also never taken money from it.
You know, Benedict Arnold had kids too. I mean, there are people that have turned on their nation, that have money, have kids, have power. Why do people say that because X, Y must be true? No, you can still be a traitor, and like all these other things can be true too.
Anybody.
I'm not saying he is. I'm saying that it's possible.
Don't need it, don't want it, and that's provable. And moreover, it's my job to talk to everybody all the time and try and figure out what's happening around the world.
Yeah, no, talking's fine. Again, what you're describing, what Tucker Carlson is describing is a potential FARA violation. And a potential FARA violation does not apply to talking. It applies to working. It applies to actions. It applies to, did you do something wrong? The talking part doesn't matter. I mean, it does. It just backs up whether or not you did the thing you were talking about. Did you work on behalf of a foreign government? This doesn't even apply. Look, FARA covers allies, dude. FARA covers allies. If you are working on behalf of an ally and don't tell anyone, you also are in violation of FARA. He's accused, according to him, by the way, the government hasn't come out and said this yet. According to him, he's accused of working on behalf of Iran, an enemy, somebody that we're actively right now in war with.
It's literally what I do for a living, and I'm not going to stop doing that, nor should I.
So look, let me, for those of you that really need this to really need me to send this home for you, okay? What Tucker's claiming is that he's a journalist and he's allowed to do this because he's a journalist. Who does that sound like? Who in the chat? Who in recent, very recently, who has been saying that because they're a journalist, they're allowed to do something that we know is illegal? Who is the big story that was very recently? I'll give you a hint. There it is. Sherry 2032 in the chat. That's right. Don Lemon. Don Lemon's like, I'm stormed a church. What? Stormed a church full of Catholics? I didn't. That's journalism. No. No. You cannot use I'm a journalist as a shield to commit crimes. Period.
I'm also an American. I can talk to anybody. I have no secrets to divulge. So legally, I think the case is ludicrous, and I doubt it will even become a case. I'm bringing this up for a couple of reasons, though, and they're pretty obvious. One is that countries tend to become more authoritarian in wartime. It's just the nature of war. People are dying.
Wait a minute. He's about to... I have a funny feeling he's not talking about Iran.
The stakes are high. People's emotions have risen to a very high point, to a crescendo. And so there's much less tolerance for any kind of dissent in the home.
Somebody in the chat, you're funny, go to bed. I think, I don't know if they were talking to me or not, but I literally just was like, I haven't even taken my temperature or anything. I'm not nauseous, but yeah, if you're talking about me, yeah, I will.
Homeland. The irony, of course, is the United States fights wars on behalf of freedom, but there's always less of it here in our country during war. So that's a widely recognized phenomenon, and it's likely to happen now too. Another point to make that is worth knowing is that the USIC, the intelligence agency, spy on Americans. Now, you probably knew that, and it's been revealed a lot, including by Julian Assange and Ed Snowden, both of whom are... Were either of them talking to a foreign terrorist organization? I mean, it's kind of... this is kind of like I'm just like them. No, you're not. Threatened with death for revealing it, but everyone knows. but it's probably a little more
Thank you, Badman.
widespread than most people understand. And it's outrageous. There's no justification for your government, which you own, you're a shareholder in it, you pay for it, to be violating your privacy.
Okay, so there is no justification for the government. Look, and this is a slippery slope here. Okay, so I'm going to try to be very careful in how I say this. Oh, by the way, guys, I brought these all. So there are people in the chat that are like, do this, do this, do this. I have had a very, very good track record of knocking out when I'm sick with this concoction. And I got this concoction. This is MAHA Monday. We're time out on that. We'll get right back to it. But I did want to bring this up from MAHA Monday. Okay. I have been sick maybe 4 or 5 times, once last week, but like 4 or 5 times since COVID, right? And almost every time, 24 hours, maybe 48 tops, I'm back in the game. So this is what I take, and I looked this up during COVID because I didn't want to get the clot shot, right? So I was like, okay, if I get COVID, what do I do? And I think it was either Peter McCullough or Dr. Robert Malone. One of them was on Joe Rogan, and I think they said like this, and this, right? So here it is, right? Magnesium, vitamin C, zinc, vitamin D3, iron, and colloidal silver under your tongue. I take all of these twice a day, and I've really been knocking out when I get sick. Colloidal silver throat spray. Look at that. Somebody in the chat. I just showed you. I got it here. So yeah, that cocktail is pretty good. So like I said, all right. So once again, if you guys want to try, go buy these. If you ever get sick, I'm telling you that definitely works. Once again, it's colloidal silver, zinc, magnesium, D3, iron, and vitamin C. Go get those. Anyway, back to it. I wanted to make sure I told you guys about that because it's MAHA Monday. You don't need that much iron. The liver will go toxic. Okay, well, 65 milligrams. Is that good? I'll cut it in half, maybe. Some of you guys, everybody's a doctor. Everyone's a doctor. Vitamin K. All right. I'm gonna get distracted. Let's finish this. Let's get through this. We got 10 minutes, bro. You can do it. Imagine if I had to go grout a fireplace, install a bunch of trim, and demo a shower today like this. That's not happening. That's not happening. I'm going to bed, dog. All right, back to it. ADD break is over.
Like this, but it happens all the time. And in fact, one of the reasons that CIA or people within CIA, just to be clear, it's a huge, sprawling, disconnected agency. What it does in a specific case doesn't represent what everybody in the building thinks, but there are some people who are mad at me for my views about Israel, and they have some latitude. And one of the reasons they pass on criminal complaints, in effect, to law enforcement is to justify warrants for spying on Americans.
Okay, so you know what? Enough of this. All right, look, let's break this down. This is how I imagine the conversation with Tucker's lawyer went, okay? Tucker, the CIA is spying on me. They admitted to reading my text messages. Lawyer, who were you texting? Tucker, Iranian regime personnel. Lawyer, you sure the CIA wasn't spying on the member of a designated terrorist organization you were texting? Tucker, no way. They're trying to set me up and they're just using that as an excuse to spy on me. Lawyer, so you weren't sharing communications with a designated enemy of the United States. Tucker, no, I was, but that's free speech. Right? Lawyer, as long as you didn't give them any information that would benefit their efforts against the U.S. or spread any information to your audience at their request. Tucker, isn't that also free speech? Lawyer, no, that's treason. Tucker, oh. I think that this is exactly how the conversation went, right? Like fucking, it's so, it's so stupid. All right. Guys, it's so silly of him to do this because, again, right? He could have done absolutely nothing wrong. Let me find this post. You know what? I also wanted to go to this, right? This isn't me attacking Enrique. I like Enrique. We get along. We're friends, but we're acquaintances. But this is kind of so stupid. This is a symptom of the culture that we're in with these, podcast bros and this loyalty to some sensationalist grifting asshole who sits in front of a microphone, as opposed to maybe loyalty to the administration, not blind loyalty, by the way, loyalty, not blind, educated loyalty to Trump and this administration because we voted for him, we trusted him, and his actions have proved that it was a good idea. And this is Enrique Tarrio, who was the leader of the Proud Boys, who Trump pardoned the moment he got in office, right? He was locked up. He wasn't even at January 6th. He literally was not there. And they locked him up. The Joe Biden administration locked him up, okay? Here he is. The American people want the arrest of Comey, Garland, Pelosi, Biden, Clinton, Obama, etc. Instead, we're getting Tucker and your favorite social media influencers are pushing for it. You don't need to ask why. Americans are pissed. Reminder, 0 deep state arrests and 14 months later. Okay. Honest question. If Tucker was actually communicating with the foreign terror network and they have evidence he was working on their behalf, or even worse, providing material support to assist their efforts against the United States, don't you think they should take that just as seriously as if any other people you mentioned did it? Right? Like, if they have this evidence that Tucker is alluding to, right? Or if they are investigating him, and I don't think that this DOJ would do that without some at least credible evidence, right? Don't you think they should do, they shouldn't be like, oh, that's Tucker Carlson, we can't go after him. Like, no, they should. They should be objective. They should definitely go after Comey and all the other people, 100%, right? But those are old. This is just like the Epstein files. The longer you wait, the more evidence they destroy, the harder it is, right? This is happening right now. So they should go after it. He's obviously innocent till proven guilty, but he literally admitted to communicating with enemies of the United States, and at bare minimum, we should acknowledge the possibility that the pending charges are legitimate. Just because the Biden DOJ abused the system doesn't mean the Trump administration is the same. He literally pardoned you and every other person for J6, even people I don't think he should have, like Jake Lang. I'd say you, Enrique, more than anyone, owe Trump the benefit of doubt that he doesn't agree with weaponization of government. You'd still be in jail right now if Trump didn't use his power to undo exactly what you're accusing him of being a party to. I'm sure you didn't intend it to come off that way, but it does. Trump took a bullet for this country. They tried to ruin his life by weaponing the government against him. And it's sad to see how quickly people forget that because a group of conservative black pillars spend 24/7 bitching about how he handles foreign policy. I will give you his reply. Sure, if that proves to be true, I'll eat crow. That's fair. At least he's being fair here. And yes, I do owe Trump, the president, the benefit of doubt, but this doesn't include his appointments. Actually, it does. It does. Right? If you are for Trump, right, you are for his judgment. And yes, he's made some bad picks, but he's also fired some bad picks, right? He's not perfect. I've criticized his appointments, but what I don't think, all right, so let me finish his. I'm a day one and last day Trumper, and since day one I've been critical of his appointments. To say he's had a perfect streak would be a lie. We agree there. Perfect example of this is Cornyn, not an appointment. The Dilly meme team said that America had to eat shit and vote for Cornyn. I'm a Trump supporter, not a retard. Got it. Okay. I get your point, but he's in charge, so implicating his appointees implicates him, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Explain Christopher Wray. It's not that simple. There's many reasons why that Trump couldn't or should or didn't fire certain people. There's many reasons why Trump has told us to vote for Cornyn, right? Cornyn is a chess piece in the game of politics, okay? He understands he's a rhino. I know people who personally know Donald Trump that said that he keeps Lindsey Graham around for strategic reasons. That does not mean that he agrees with him on everything. Look, ones and zeros, guys. Trump is a transactional person. If Trump thinks that John Cornyn will get the Save America Act passed, he's looking at long game and he's going, should we tank the Save America Act that will ensure that we have free and fair elections, or should we endorse the guy who's going to fight against the guy who's going to get the Save America Act passed? I think that that's what Trump is thinking. Do I like it? No, but that's politics. That's how it works. Stop thinking in black and white. And start using critical thinking, deductive reasoning, and sound logic. All right, we got 3 minutes left, guys. Can't believe we made it. Can't believe we made it. I think I was looking for a different post. There's one more. See if we can get to it before... This is another disappointment. Rich Grinnell used to be a... Okay, here it is. Here it is. Before we get out of here, 2 minutes. Let's go through this, okay? My final point on this before we get out of here. Sean, I believe, has a pre-recorded Ungoverned. He's going to be on Dan Bongino's show today. Everybody go watch Dan Bongino and watch Sean's pre-taped, because both of them are going to be great. Love Sean. I'm so proud of him. Just wanted to say that. But there's a lot of people saying Tucker Carlson made up this story for clicks, or like some kind of 5D chess move to trap the admin in a spy scandal. But let's really think about this for a second. If Tucker is lying for clicks, which is definitely possible considering his track record, he basically just forced the DOJ to open up an investigation into him that didn't exist, because he admitted to communicating with a designated foreign terrorist organization. If they weren't spying on him, they're gonna now, right? They have to, right? If he's trying to force the DOJ to spy on him when they didn't, so he can prove their spying, as equally retarded. The DOJ would release a statement claiming the story is completely fabricated, and they would have to essentially prove Tucker is not working with the IRGC, because clearing his name would in essence clear their own. They would immediately get a court order for his records, find out if he was really working with the IRGC, provide records that had happened after his video. And even if he did nothing wrong, they're going to release the findings and prove he actually is either associated with terrorists in a non-criminal relationship, or he's a liar. If he's playing 5D chess, he's retarded, because he just gave the DOJ probable cause to go through every text and email he's ever written. And if they find anything at all, even if it's unrelated, he could be in trouble. So Tucker is either trying to entrap the DOJ and frame them for a crime they didn't commit by forcing them to arrest him for a crime he did commit, or he's telling the truth and he's trying to get ahead of this story before it's leaked by somebody else. There's no logical reason why anyone would make this up, but audience capture isn't logical. It's possible he really is just that stupid, and he thought the engagement was worth the hoax. Does that make sense to everybody? Good, because it's 9 o'clock and we got to get out of here. All right, perfect. See you later. I'll be here tomorrow, and I'll be here for 2 hours tomorrow because I'm covering Sean's show. I will be essentially just doing 2 hours of the Daily Breakdown. I'm going to try to get a guest on. Actually, I think I am getting a guest on. So we'll put them in for somewhere in the middle of the show. Anyway, I got to get out of here. But thank you, everybody, for coming. And I appreciate you sticking through while I looked like I just smoked a bunch of reefer, but I didn't. I'm just not feeling well. Peace.
A partially valid, a half-truth, if you will, is being pushed.
I can't wait to find out all sorts of new and exciting things I didn't know about myself.
So you just hate Jews, bro?
Yeah, you're just an anti-Semite. Congratulations.
You're
Go
not
join.
What would you say?
Exactly.
Well, that's different. It's not different. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's
That just we are the only society on Earth who has the obligation to self-destruct, to blame ourselves for every problem that has ever existed, and we just think of ourselves as the worst human beings who are responsible for every bad.
How many Muslims are trying to stop Boko Haram? How many Muslims were confronting ISIS? How many Muslims, the extremists always win. So the peaceful majority, of which I know many,